Okay. Good afternoon. This regular council meeting for the Township of Selwyn for Tuesday, January 14, 2025 will come to order. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Please observe a moment of silence so that council, staff, and members of the public can quietly reflect on our duty to the community that we are trying to serve. Thank you. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of council, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, please note that in our minutes. And we have our minutes of December the 10th, 2024 and December the 12th, 2024 before us. Are there any errors or omissions? If not, I'm looking for someone to move to receive them. Councillor Koulis and Councillor Boyko, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any discussion out of the minutes? Okay. We have a couple of new staff members and Adam is going to introduce them.
Thanks. Through you, Madam Mayor. Happy to introduce you to two of our new staff for the Public Works Department. Started with us just before the holidays, just in time for our Christmas luncheons. So I'd like to introduce Shane Edwards. Shane comes from us from St. Mary's Cement, aggregates down near Keene on Westwood. Working there since 2018 as a lead hand and operator there. So Shane's taking the position as a public works labor position with us. So we're quite happy to have him. Next would be Adam Gilmore. Adam comes from us from Drain Brothers. He's a heavy equipment operator and DZ or AZ float driver. So he was running heavy equipment for drains and floating equipment around as well. So really fortunate to have both these guys with us and hear nothing but good things so far.
Thank you very much and welcome to both of you. And we're happy to have you in our organization. We are now going to be hearing from Engage Engineering with regards to our Ward Street reconstruction environmental assessment update. Who's going to be speaking?
I'll be speaking.
All right. Can I have your name?
Jason Armstrong.
Jason. Okay. Podium there, please, sir.
Be 1 second, sorry.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. It's good to be here to talk about the Ward Street class environmental assessment. I think I've seen most of you out at the Public Information Center, so it shouldn't be too new. Okay, there we go. It's all right. Let's get the hang of this. So the purpose of today's presentation is to provide background and status of the class environmental project, present the recommended plan, and request council receive and endorse in principle the Ward Street Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, and then finally outline next steps to complete the project. Oh, we're up here too. Perfect. That's a little bit easier. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So as most of you know, the Ward Street project is in Bridgenorth. It goes from Champlain Road, Tim Hortons, all the way up to the causeway at Bridge Street. Okay, the study objectives. So the county and township through the technical advisory committee and just so everybody knows, the technical advisory committee was made up of county staff, township staff, staff from Engage Engineering, and also Tramplan and Associates. So the technical advisory committee identified the following objectives for the study: to provide enhanced traffic capacity, to improve levels of service in the short to medium term horizons, to optimize traffic circulation and access to side streets and commercial properties, and to improve levels of service, to provide improved active transportation facilities for pedestrians and cyclists on both sides of Ward Street for the full length of the corridor, and implement items outlined in the Selwyn Community Improvement Plan for streetscaping and built form. So this figure here shows the environmental assessment process. The Ward Street project is following the Schedule C municipal class environmental assessment process. What that means is that the Schedule C project must complete all 5 phases of the process as outlined in the flow chart. Currently, we're at phase 4 of the process. So the study will result in an environmental study report, which will identify the recommended plan and any mitigation measures. The study timeline, right now, we're getting close to the end of the study. To date, we've completed the detailed traffic analysis. We've developed a number of alternatives. We've evaluated those alternative solutions. We've hosted 2 public information centers. We've met with Bridge North business owners. We have refined the preferred alternative through those PIC comments. We've selected the recommended plan, and we've prepared preliminary design plans. So a little bit about traffic volumes. Traffic volumes on Ward Street have decreased since the Ward Street environmental assessment was last updated in 2017. 2023 data shows additional capacity for the 2-lane road is available. This drop in traffic volume is consistent with new traffic patterns post-COVID, with the change in folks working from remotely or hybrid style work schedule. We've noticed these patterns and they're consistent with other areas. So the 2 graphs here, the bar graph shows those traffic volumes from right to left, 2014 to 2023. You can see that trend line in traffic data is going down. And the line graph on the right side there, there's a green line and a red line. This shows the hourly distribution of traffic in the corridor. In that 2017, the red line, you can really see those AM and PM peaks in the traffic flow. And in the 2023 data, those peaks have been removed. So we're not seeing that AM and PM peak like we did previously. Alternatives and evaluation. So a total of 8 unique alternatives were developed to address project objectives. Alternatives from roundabouts at the Causeway, Bridge Street to signals at Tim Hortons were investigated. Those alternatives that best address the project objectives were shortlisted for a detailed evaluation. So those 2 alternatives were road rehabilitation with localized improvements, as well as an optimizing signal timing at Ward Street and Causeway intersection and extending a center turn lane from Gore Street to Tim Hortons. So those 2 alternatives were shortlisted and evaluated against comprehensive list of evaluation criteria in a number of different categories. There was natural environment, social, cultural, economic, and technical. Okay. Our recommended plan. So through the evaluation process, alternative one, road rehabilitation with localized improvements was identified as the preferred alternative. It was further refined after public consultation and then is presented as the recommended plan. The recommended plan maintains the existing lane configuration, but incorporates new sidewalk, a multi-use path, and streetscaping improvements. Recommended plan also minimizes utility relocation, impacts to private property and property acquisition. Recommended plan will incorporate geometric corridor improvements to improve both vehicle and pedestrian safety. And the recommended plan also satisfies project objectives by maintaining capacity and improving traffic flow on Ward Street, improving pedestrian and active transportation facilities, and maximizing available space for streetscape and community improvement areas. Alternative one, road rehabilitation with localized improvements was presented at the second Public Information Center. Public comments were consistent and reinforced the project objectives. Those public comments concluded that the improved pedestrian facilities are an important consideration to many stakeholders and that they be carried forward into the preliminary design and the recommended plan. That considerations be given to pedestrian infrastructure when crossing Ward Street, and that further consideration for the crossing infrastructure at the causeway be reviewed. That the recommended solution is generally in line with the community's suggestions and should address their concerns. And that leading up to construction, local businesses and residents be further consulted to communicate the impact of construction on the community. So these two images here show the recommended plan, the typical cross section. So very similar to what's out there today. There's no lane reconfigurations. You have your 3-lane cross section between Gore and the causeway. It will have space for community improvements. It'll have new asphalt curb and storm sewer. There'll be no on-street parking. There'll be a new 1.8 meter concrete sidewalk, northbound side or the plaza side, and a new 3 meter multi-use trail on the southbound side or the lake side. And then there's a typical 2-lane cross section. This will be from Gore to Champlain Road. Those 2 lanes will remain the same community improvement space, concrete sidewalk, asphalt multi-use path will be there as well. And no on-street parking through that section. So a few highlights of the recommended plan, just to go over them again, is the new continuous 3 meter wide multi-use pathway on the west side that will connect into the 3 meter path that's come across the causeway. We've got a new continuous 1.8 meter concrete sidewalk, space for community improvement initiatives and tree planting, space to implement stormwater quality control infrastructure where possible to improve that water quality outletting to Chemung Lake. Sorry, and that 3-lane to 2-lane transition at the intersection of Ward and Gore Street. We did hear a little bit about that at the Public Information Center. Will be improved for safer navigation through that intersection. We've also have some commercial entrance improvements. This will reduce conflicting turning movements on Ward Street in the commercial zone, which is between Gore and Bridge Street. Improved pedestrian amenities at the Ward and Bridge Street intersection through the addition of crossing infrastructure. Realignment of lanes through the Ward Street and Bridge Street intersection through modifications to traffic islands and line painting. And those are the highlights of the recommended plan. So we can walk through the next steps and then get in some questions. So Next steps is we request that Selwyn Council receives the presentation regarding Ward Street Municipal Class Environmental Assessment, and that Selwyn Council endorses in principle the Ward Street Municipal Class Environmental Assessment. Next steps will be presentation of the recommended plan to County of Peterborough Council. We will seek approval by Peterborough County Council, prepare and file the environmental study report. There's a 30-day review period after that study goes in. And then after that will be implementation of the project, subject to funding. After that funding approval, potential implementation schedule would be detailed design this year, 2025. Potential utility relocations next year, which is 2026, and construction starting in 2027. So, yeah. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation, Jason. Before I pass it on to council, we had one particular business owner that was concerned about what was going to be happening outside of his gas station.
Okay.
Have those concerns been addressed? Because we don't actually have a copy of the new plan.
Yes, they have. We met with 4 business owners throughout the before the second PIC, and there was some concerns about a sidewalk conflicting with their sign. So that sidewalk was actually moved before the PIC. So those concerns have been addressed in the latest design plans.
Okay, and my only other comment is it appears that county council in their wisdom made the right move in canceling the bypass, given that the traffic has been reduced. It was going to be a very expensive proposition and it's out of the picture now. And I know there were businesses that had, not businesses, but property owners that had their property having a holding on them because of the proposed bypass. Have those holdings been removed? Because it doesn't seem fair to the property owners that they would sit on their, that they would have to deal with it themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can answer that or
Yeah,
maybe Doug.
Doug from the county is here. He can maybe answer that.
You have to go to the,
Podium?
yeah. Online can't hear you if you're not on the microphone.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor. A great question. But as part of the update of the Transportation Master Plan in 2022, County Council did make that resolution to remove the bypass. As such, it's been removed from our official plan. So that holding provision, as you called it, is no longer active, meaning there would be no concerns with development of those lands.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'll turn it over to council now. Are there any questions? Councillor Henry?
Thank you through you, Mayor Senes. Thank you, Jason, for your report. Essentially what I'm seeing is that it appears there will be no major changes to what's already existing. We are going to polish up the sidewalks and some of the amendments along the sidewalks within Bridge North. I guess my question here actually is going to go to both county and Adam Tobin here in the township. Is there any way that we can shuffle the street sweeping activities in the spring around to prioritize Bridge North and then have county services come in and put down some lines on the road? I drive through there every day. My wife drives through there every day, and it is somewhat kind of not clearly outlined where you should be on the road. And depending on the time of day with lighting and if there's moisture on the road, let alone snow, it is a bit of a hazard for people. So I think if there's something that we can do to help out to make it a better situation between now and 2027, yeah, we got a couple of years here. We can still be doing something, I think, in the meantime.
Who would like to tackle that?
I can start through you,
Right.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. We actually are partnering with the county as of last year, kind of rotating our street sweeping. So our forces actually went in and swept Ward Street last year. We kind of did a quick once over, then the county mobilized and did a more thorough job. So we're looking to continue to do that just so that we can kind of address all the hamlets in a more timely fashion. Related to maybe the line painting. That's an annual program that the county does already. So I'm not sure if that's on the list, Doug.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Through you, Mayor. Yes, we do have an annual program for pavement markings. So every year we apply new lines on every road, Bridge North included. We can look to prioritize areas that have worn out faster than others. So we'll review the Bridge North area. I do drive through it quite often as well and notice it's starting to fade. So we'll prioritize Bridge North early in the year. Typically that program starts in early May. We try to get the road swept obviously before we can get in there and do the line painting. So there's some coordination, but it would look around the May month to get in there to start line painting.
Thank you. Follow up through you, Mayor Stennis. Now, down the road, are there any future plans to upgrade the south side of the County Road 18 from the Causeway to the Jones Beach Road? The sidewalk along there is pretty dodgy and sketchy in areas. There are a lot of families. You see kids trying to ride their bikes, and there are a number of residents there with accessibility concerns that have come forward saying that it's pretty hard for them to leave their house because of the condition of the sidewalk there beyond the Causeway to the Jones Beach Road.
Through you, Mayor, we kind of talked about this at our last TAC meeting a little bit, conversation around extending the sidewalk. It could be something that we consider through the design, the detailed design that we're starting in 2025. Sidewalks themselves, that would be back to the township to decide. So that's their infrastructure, but it's something we could look at least extending a portion of that, whether it be up to East Communication for now. But it's something as a TAC, we kind of contemplated and thought maybe we do want to add some connectivity to this project.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, Councillor Boyko.
Thank you, and thank you for your report. I thought it was terrific when at the objective level that we were talking about enhancing traffic capacity at the short term and the long term, because we're talking about the traffic capacity and the traffic use over the last few years has been going down, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue to go down because we're going to be seeing growth, hopefully, into the 2030s, 2040s. And that's what we're talking about. Whatever we do now is going to be there for a long time, because we're not going to revisit this in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. This is a long time. So the question I have goes to two words that were changed. At the beginning, it said, the study objective, provide enhanced traffic capacity. When I took a look at the recommended plan, the fourth bullet down, it says the recommendation satisfies the project objectives by maintaining capacity. So it didn't really meet the objective of providing enhanced traffic capacity. So I'm wondering, how did we get from one to the other? Is it that increased, or the words used by the study objective, enhanced traffic capacity is not necessary, or it's not possible?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. That's exactly right. The study objectives were created at the very beginning of the project before the traffic data was collected. And through that process, the traffic data, the traffic volumes have decreased and there was actual residual capacity in the corridor. So there's room for additional capacity on the road. That answers the question.
Right, Deputy Mayor Blatt.
Through your worship, thanks for the presentation, Jason and Doug. Just a question around, this is a Schedule C EAP. What determines the schedule or the depth of study that has to happen? It all costs money to do all this consultation, clearly. And how is it determined what level of EAP is required for a project like this?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. There is a municipal class Schedule EA process document, and it outlines the different projects and the different schedule of where those projects should fall. So under that, at the beginning of the project, it was potentially going to be a widening project. So widening projects do fall under that Schedule C EA process. Obviously, now we've gone through the study, that wasn't the case, but knowing that it could have been a widening project, that's why it was gone through the Schedule C process.
So through your merits, so it's the complexity of the changes that might be possible or projected determines the level of consultation for the EAP. Right.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So with respect to the parking, I know this was brought up in the PIC, mostly on the lake side. There's that paved area from the curb in that a lot of cars pull up on, especially when there's events at the garden area. a lot of people do park on those curbs and that won't be available, moving forward. So, is there a plan for parking somewhere else, or how is that dealt with? Is it felt that it's not needed, or because it's being used right now?
Through you, Mayor. Yeah, there is, we did notice some use of that. We didn't notice that it was being heavily used. And you know, there's other project objectives, you know, the multi-use path to enhance active transportation. That was deemed to be, you know, of higher value to the community than the parking. So that's where we've ended up. Doug, you have something to say?
Yeah. Just that, I got another.
What am I doing? Yeah. Through you, Mayor. Yeah, just to follow up and elaborate on this a little bit. Some of the businesses that may be affected, I know there's two particular side by side there. Through detailed design, we will have some conversations there to see if there's areas outside that we can enhance to provide that parking, or to alleviate those concerns. So there's definitely going to be some conversations going on through detailed design where we can mitigate it. Again, maybe even looking for if there's a municipal lot in behind the little park there, maybe we can enhance it in a way to provide some more capacity there. Those things we can look at through detailed design.
And one last follow-up.
Mhm.
Thank you. With respect to the stormwater management upgrades, I assume that's their environmental upgrades to prevent things from going in. Can you explain what that upgrade means for Bridge North? How it might affect Chemung Lake or improve quality of the water lane? Chat.
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, and then I'll sit down. I'll get out of the way. Yeah, through you, Mayor. No, we're looking at stormwater quality upgrades, potentially something like an oil grit separator. And so essentially what happens is the water, as it leaves the roadway, would enter this unit. And then essentially it would filter out some of those suspended solids. Because currently it's all outletting down the hill into Chemung Lake. So we're trying to enhance the water quality before it reaches the lake. And so we're just seeing where we can do it, the size requirements would meet, but it's something through the detailed design we wanted to include in there to say it should be an objective where it's feasible.
Sounds like a good option. Thank you.
Don't sit down. I have one last question. Sorry. I'll let Councillor Kulisha go ahead first.
Thank you, through you.
I have the same question.
Yeah, that's what I was sitting here with. I just a couple clarification questions. So where does the CIP, community improvement portion of this for Bridge North fall into this plan and this timeline? Like, when will we get to talk about that? Yeah.
That's an Adam question.
Through you, I can answer a few of those through you, Mayor.
Okay.
So part of that community improvement plan was to include sidewalk and a multi-use path. So some of those community improvement items have already been included in the design. There's other items that fall into their wayfinding signage and benches and things like that will be investigated in the detailed design. So I don't know if Adam, if there's anything else you want to add to that or.
To you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, no, I think that kind of hits most of it. There'll be some street lighting changes and stuff like that that'll match some of the other CIP designs we've seen throughout the township, but that'll all get incorporated into the detailed design. Just kind of noted on the draft drawings right now, but I mean, those details will get worked out when we get further down into the design.
I do want to address the question about the business being attended to. You spoke specifically to the sidewalk not interfering with their sign, but there was also that question was underpinned by safety of the pedestrians, because that's a heavily in and out area for that business, but also for the fire station next door if the sidewalk went in front of it. So has that been addressed? And if so, what was the decision?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So that was discussed with both that property owner and as well the fire chief was at the Public Information Center. Pedestrians and specifically students from the school are already walking between, I think it's Gore and Wilcox on that side of the road. I don't think that's going to change. So with that addition of that sidewalk infrastructure, it will improve safety. In talking to the fire chief, he seemed to think it was a good idea through there. He said he already noticed quite a few pedestrians using that side of the road. So to have a some defined pedestrian infrastructure, I would think would be a benefit.
That one comment. So this is my last question, and then I've got one comment to follow it, but This plan that's kind of in front of us, it says like short and medium term. So I just want to clarify, there's no long-term focus here. Is that because the infrastructure is expected to be updated in the long term? And if so, what's the time frame there?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So it, just based on the traffic volumes that were noted, you just looked at the short to medium term. You know, the county would like to look at those traffic volumes over, say, the next, 5 to 10 years and see where those go. Doug, I don't know if you have anything to add to that or?
No, through you, Mayor, just to elaborate, the idea is we want to build something for the lifespan of this infrastructure. So that's why we looked at short to medium term. Again, in long term, as things change, we do update our transportation master plan. We continue to monitor traffic. So really knowing long term is 30 years away, we kind of said, let's keep it to the short to medium term, get the most out of this infrastructure and see what the needs are in years to come, right?
Okay. And then my last comment, I'm actually just going to jump off of what Councillor Henry said about cleaning the roads and such. What would be really, really helpful in the springtime, I use that corridor at least once a day, sometimes 3 times. If you guys can do social media shout outs like 3 or 4 days before when it's expected to be scheduled, that helps with buses being backed up. That helps with us stuck on the way to work and being 45 minutes late. It would be really appreciated if those were out sooner instead of the day of. Thank you.
Okay, and Doug, it's good you haven't left because I still have my question. I'm really proud of the way that the township and the county maintains our roads. They're in good shape throughout Selwyn. And with the exception of Ward Street. And I understand the reason for that because we've been studying it forever and never knew what direction it was going to go. And because of that, it's not in wonderful shape. So given that we aren't going to be doing this work until 2027, what is the plan between now and then, looking after Ward Street?
Yeah, through you, Mayor, and a great point. Actually, we were talking at the TAC, initially started with just our team here in around 2016. So we've been looking at this for quite a while. And a lot of decisions, were on hold, I would say, which is kind of deferred the rehabilitation. But we didn't want to spend any large capital money on the corridor until we had a recommended plan before council. So the plan in the short term for the next 2 years, we will continue to maintain it. So if some small hot mix asphalt repairs are required, the county would continue to do that through our operating accounts. Things like line painting, those will continue to happen annually. So we will continue to maintain the road in a passable condition. We do recognize it's getting into a deteriorated condition. And that's why we do have included in our 5-year capital plan, the money for 2027.
All right, thank you. If there are no further questions, we have a recommended resolution that the presentation regarding Ward Street reconstruction update be received and that the County of Peterborough be advised the Township of Selwyn endorses in principle the Ward Street Municipal Class Environmental Assessment. Looking for someone to move that. Councillor Henry, seconded by Deputy Mayor Black. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And thank you all for coming and providing the information.
Thank you.
We'll now go to question period. Are there any questions that have been brought forward, Madam Clerk?
No questions.
Great. Okay, thank you. Our consent items, is there anything that anyone wants pulled? Deputy Mayor Black. Fire department.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just, just well, first of all, thanks for the problems for the funding, wouldn't quite meet, the total amount requested, but, we have budgets, we're going to let further the balance, I think so.
Okay, and you,
Yeah, so the balance of that, when we did the capital budget, it was all pending funding. So if the fire department, they're taking a look at that and they may indeed come to council with a report at our budget meeting, February 6th, to consider the dryer, which wasn't approved through the funding program.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so with respect to our current costs, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what are we spending to have the equipment sent out to be cleaned each year? What's the potential savings there on the operating budget for that?
Can you just turn your mic on?
It's on.
Can't hear you. No, you.
No, it's on.
Yeah, I know, but pull it closer.
Oh, pull it closer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My voice usually carries, so. Any idea what the annual cost savings would be on the operating side?
Yes, we did have quite a bit of conversation about that with the fire department and really can't give you a number. Certainly there will be some savings through the shipping or the transporting of the gear. But on the other end, we will be paying the firefighters to do the work.
Handle it.
So it may not necessarily be cash savings, operational savings, but in terms of getting the bunker gear back in service sooner, I think that's where we'll see some efficiencies and some benefit for the fire department. And of course, you know, keeping the equipment cleaned more frequently is certainly a health benefit.
Yeah, from a health
Yeah.
percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
And you had something else you want to pull? Yeah.
Yeah.
Correspondence number 20. Mhm. Yep.
Correspondence is with respect to a plan around housing, housing prices. I think as we all know, I might gone again. Sorry, it's the city of Markham's motion to have all levels of government formulate a plan around homelessness and of course, mental health and addictions. They're all connected to the issue. Many people don't understand or know that the county pays a significant portion of the housing budget. Even though the city of Peterborough manages most of it, we see most of the issues come in the city. There are county residents that have issues with homelessness, mental health and addictions, of course. But the county does run the housing file. But in some cases, the county actually pays more based on assessment versus population on some parts of the housing budget that the city of Peterborough manages. So it is an issue for the county as well. And I think you can see over the last couple of weeks, there are challenges understanding what's required to support homelessness in the area and the divided approach between more temporary housing versus transitional housing has kind of been brought forward a little bit. So I think clearly more transitional housing is needed. We need really a plan from all levels of government to support this. And I do support the feds and the province having a ministry to deal with this. It is one of the leading social issues that we have everywhere, including the county. And I do support moving forward with that recommendation to more senior levels of government. The province is coming with what they call heart hubs. And I think that will be helpful with creating a plan. But I think homelessness, mental health and addictions affects all of us. So I think we need to get behind their motion.
So what you're suggesting is we put a motion forward to support the motion that the city of Markham has put forward.
Yes, yeah.
Someone to second it? Councillor Henry, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. All right, we need to approve the rest of the consent items. Councillor Koulis, seconded by Councillor Boyko, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you. And under other new and unfinished business, Councillor Koulis.
Thank you, through you. I just wanted to let the public know that there is a hockey game on Saturday, January 18th. That's 7 p.m. to 8:30 at the Ennismore Arena. And it's part of celebrating the Robinson immigration and the settlement that's happened. It's the 200th year celebration. And it's Ennismore versus Downeyville. And the teams look stacked, so please come out. It's going to be good. It's $10 at the door. 12 under free, and the canteen is open.
All right, thank you very much. Any Councillor Henry.
Thank you through you, Mayor Senes. On behalf of council and Selwyn Township, I'd like to congratulate Deputy Mayor Ron Black for being appointed to Chair of the newly formed Halliburton, Kawartha, Northumberland, Peterborough Health Unit. This role is going to be very pivotal through the changes while continuing to deliver services through the amalgamation process. So congratulations for leading us through this.
Thank you. All right, is there any other new or unfinished business? Seeing none, we have our bylaws, Madam Clerk.
So we have the first bylaw, the borrowing bylaw. Number 2, our interim tax levy bylaw. Number 3, the bylaw to authorize the fire protection grant. And bylaw number 4, which is to amend the council base remuneration. So that's an amendment to your original bylaw from 2019, I believe.
Right, I need someone to move that. Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Koulis, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you. Confirming bylaw. Deputy Mayor Black, Councillor Koulis, all in favor. It's carried. Thank you. And a move to adjourn. Councillor Henry and seconded by Deputy Mayor Black, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.